Happy good morning. This is Brian from Zenful Mindings, and I wanted to just hash out, talking out loud today, um, the idea of like giving ourselves grace and the grace of time. So I've been like a little down on myself lately because I feel like I haven't really been blocking out like my self-care time and giving myself like the grace that I know for me is completely necessary in my life. And things have been busy and I'm trying to do a lot and be a lot. And I just kind of feel like overwhelmed sometimes. And so then on top of that, like to compensate, like I haven't been taking as much time for my practice or for self-care. And then, I'm adding the layers. And that's like real life, right? I think a lot of us, if not the majority of us, do that. And today, or this morning, I should say, well, today is this morning, I was doing a physical practice and I realized that it is so imperative that we give ourselves the grace of time. So in my busy schedule, like I have been consistent in like showing up and like doing movement every day and doing some meditation practice every day and doing, I guess, like the minimum that like I did promise myself. So I'm very grateful to myself for keeping that promise to myself or those promises to myself. But I think sometimes I get frustrated because that little bit, it's not necessarily helping in the way that I would love it to. So for example, like I have like chronic muscle tightness, like on one side of my body. And when I say chronic, it just means frequent. So it's this repeated pattern because of like how I hold myself and like how I live my life. And I recognize that. And then sometimes I'm legitimately just looking for like a quick fix. Like I need to stretch this muscle out. And the problem really isn't that muscle. Like I know that. The problem, is other muscles that I'm using. It's also like decisions that I'm making or, procrastinating, like physical practices or journaling practices, like things that like really feed my spirit that I'm not making enough time for. And it all traces back to a lot of those things combined. So during my practice, I was doing some postures to help like rest that muscle, to like let it just release. And I reminded myself how long that it can take for us to like find the true like deep sensation of release. So I am sure that many of us are familiar with like the quick stretches, like the ones that are great to do like throughout the day if we're sitting at a desk or sitting in our car or whatever for a long amount of time. We want to do some movement in our joints. We want to get some movement in our spine and stretch that out. And those are amazing and we should keep doing those. But there are also these movements and postures that take longer for us to just like sink into, and sometimes that can't even be done in one physical practice on the mat. So we might like sit or lay or whatever in a posture for 10 full rounds of breath. And we can like start to feel like the inkling of that release, but we're not going to get fully there. And sometimes that's discouraging. We live in a culture that is very fed by instant gratification. We want to have things right now. And that release is just not something that can happen right this moment. It takes work and it takes practice and it takes continuous showing up. But most importantly, it takes the grace to understand that every little bit helps, but we have to keep showing up because it's not going to be that one quick fix. And we can't put that kind of pressure on ourselves or our bodies, our spirits, our hearts. And I was thinking about how difficult that can be, especially like if you're new to a physical yoga practice and say maybe you go to a studio class or you try a video out on YouTube or some other, website. And a lot of times those practices can go much quicker than we really need, right? And as we're guiding people through yoga practices, like we definitely want you to explore what feels good in your body, and we promote like making that practice your own. So if you want or need to stay in a posture or find movement or something different than what the class is doing or what the video is doing, we invite you to do that. But there is this added pressure to keep up, right? And so a lot of times we don't, as the students or the people doing the videos, we don't allow ourselves that grace to actually deviate from what everybody else is doing. And sometimes that's exactly what we need to do. Or as an alternative, if we still don't feel comfortable with that, when we leave that class, when we turn off that video, come back to that part. And then the next day, come back to that part, because those are the things that are going to let us know that we're listening to our bodies. It's going to tell our bodies that, yes, I am here to take care of you and you are here to take care of me. So together we got to partner up, right? So we have to give ourselves the allowance and the permission and grace to show up and do that. And it's hard. It's hard practice. It's hard work. And I wanted to share with you, I guess, the struggle that I'm having recently, because it's very real, right? No matter how long you've been practicing in yoga or spiritual work or meditation, there are always these moments that, while we are still our best selves in those moments, we are not treating ourselves maybe as kindly as we need to or as we deserve to be treated, right? So today, I just want to remind you to treat yourself with the grace of time. And I urge you to comment, message, and share, and let me know, how it's going for you. And I'm going to leave this here for today. So just be and breathe. Have a beautiful day.